we're here to talk about is 3 costly sales mistakes real estate experts avoid. So I'm actually going to introduce Steve for you guys that don't know him. He is the sales coach for CG, which is one of the biggest masterminds. It's an invite only. You have to get accepted by the whole group. And you're teaching some of the biggest wholesalers teams to get more deals, along with all the other workshops that you do. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the webinar. We're going to wait just a few minutes to let some more people get on before we get started. But thank you, everyone, for attending our batch service monthly webinar. This month's guest is Steve Trang. What's going on, bro?
Man, this is a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I'm really honored that you reached out to me, asked me to do this. But as far as what's going on, I mean, this is just hanging out with one of my good buddies. I'm excited for this.
For sure. So normally we do this in our studio. We had to do a last minute detour. So I'm hosting my webinar at Steve's studio. So thank you again for doing that. But I'm super excited for what we're going to get in today. But before we get started, guys, drop something in there. Say where you're from, where you're doing deals, so you guys could start collaborating, squatting up with each other. That's a big thing that Pace Jamil, me, Steve, a bunch of people in the Phoenix market have done for the last few years. So see who's in the same market, see how you guys could do deals together, and then we're going to help you get more sales.
And, just on that topic, I would not have the level of success that I've had, honestly, right, without you guys. So I think we don't say squat up just for the sake of squatting up. Like, absolutely. It's been absolutely instrumental to my success, to your success,
for sure.
Pace and Jamil. So, we don't say it it's not lip service.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have we have a yearly meeting to where we set goals and hold each other accountable to push each other. If you're starting to feel yourself, you'll see what everyone else is doing. You're like, oh man, I got to work harder. I got to do more. Yeah.
So you guys got to collaborate. You got to connect with people that resonate with you, that are trying to accomplish the same goals as you. The spending time with your friends. I mean, this is gonna sound terrible, right? But spending time with your friends that are constantly staying out late and drinking, that's cool and all, but that's not going to help you reach the goals that you may want to have, that you may want to reach.
Yeah, I mean, all we talk about is the books we've read lately and how they've helped us. So, I mean, learning is a wealth of knowledge for yourself, and the more reading I've done, it's changed my life, and then collaborating with other smart people that are looking to grow has been a huge part. But we're not here to talk about collaborating, which you guys should do. But what we're here to talk about is 3 costly sales mistakes real estate experts avoid. So I'm actually going to introduce Steve for you guys that don't know him. I had to beg Steve to come on. I had to pay him a small fortune just to give you guys this webinar. Just kidding. He's nice enough to be my friend and add some value for you guys. But Steve, do you just want to give a brief touch on how long you've been in real estate for, what you've done, and what you're kind of doing now?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for 14 years, and along the way, I learned very quickly that everything I knew about sales was completely wrong. I came into the sales thinking salespeople are like the car sales guys.
Yeah.
Right, and you got to force the issue. And I came into the sales world as an engineer, right, going from engineer to real estate, and that is not the way people want to buy. So I was selling with information, with knowledge, with facts and statistics and all that stuff that I, as an engineer, wanted to have when I make a purchasing decision. Most people don't want to buy that way. So I sucked at sales for the first few years of my business. And then I got better, but then I realized later on that I was still selling incorrectly because I was still making a lot of assumptions, treating a lot of homeowners the same way.
Yeah.
Right. Thinking everyone in foreclosure is going through the same problems.
Right.
And so, so along the way, reverse engineered the appropriate sales process, the ideal way to effectively buy homes. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. And then for you guys that don't know me, I am the CEO of Batch and all of its products. I got my teeth cut in wholesaling. That's actually how we started building all of our products. But I've been in real estate since 2014, done about 500 wholesales, 100 flips. We currently don't wholesale anymore, but what we do is work with a lot of people that do to make sure we keep building these awesome products. We're currently focused on some multifamily and development projects. So we've kind of transitioned out of the wholesale side because we couldn't run all these business businesses and support our products for you guys. So we made the decision to build dope products so you guys could get more deals and we could focus on that. So I'm excited to get into this. Let's get started with the first topic that we want to talk about. So we're going to have 3 different sections we're going to kind of talk about with sales. We're going to talk about how you're really not extracting sellers' needs. You need to learn how to listen. Then we're also going to talk about how you're not setting proper expectations. And lastly, we're going to talk about don't rely on charisma, follow a proven sales process. And Steve's going to really touch on all of these topics. We're not going to take any questions until we kind of go through our agenda. And then at the very end, you guys are going to have free reign to start asking Steve some questions. So let's get into it. We're so excited for you guys to be here and add some value. So let's get into section 1. How you fully aren't extracting sellers' needs. You need to learn how to listen. So you put this agenda together. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make is they kind of assume, right? And I kind of touched on it a moment ago, is that if someone's got pain, then, you're good to go. And this idea that you can just go in and assume what's going on in their world, the pain they're experiencing, is not good enough if you're trying to buy someone's house. The example I use sometimes is if you were to go and meet a doctor, right? You got some back pain and in the first couple of minutes, like, hey, Jesse, I'm really glad you came in today. I actually had a cancellation at 12 o'clock. How about you come back in 45 minutes? We're going to operate. You'd be like, what are you talking about? Clearly, you're in it for the money and you don't care about me as a human being at all. And so I think it's really important that you diagnose appropriately. And if you go in there and you find someone that's got foreclosure, and maybe it's a stacked list, it's got foreclosure, it's got an HOA violation. Okay, well, this person should be really motivated. And you go in there and they say, well, what's your offer? And you give them a price, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Right. And because what happens when you just give them a price is you're diagnosing and you're prescribing without any kind of investigation, any kind of research. And so for us, what we preach a lot is if you want to get paid like a doctor, you need to learn how to ask questions like a doctor. And so if you were to come in today, right, and say, Steve, I got some back pain. It's like, tell me about your back pain.
Right.
What's going on? When did you last hurt it? How long has it been going on?
Right.
What have you tried to do to fix this back pain? Is it hurting anywhere else? Is it affecting anywhere else in your body? Is it limiting your ability to work? Is it limiting your time to spend with your family? Is it limiting creating memories?
Yeah.
And then we're going to start talking about, well, those memories you're not creating, how painful is that? The money you're losing, how much money are you losing? How much is it costing you? If we don't fix your back pain, what is the result here, right?
Yeah. Are you able to work at your optimal level? Are you able to give your all for what you're trying to do? Are you able to spend that quality time with your family? Like when you go to a seller appointment and the first thing you do is if they're always going to ask price first.
Of course.
But you fully deflect that. You're like, I'm not here to we'll figure out price later. I'm figuring out if I'm a right fit for you and can I help with whatever your problem is on why you're looking to sell. Like you should never, ever give price. Like I refuse to. Like I'll literally walk away from a deal if they want price first. Like, I'm going to get a number from them, but I want to find out why they really want to sell, if I could actually help them, and am I actually their best option? Your goal in wholesaling or buying properties from people shouldn't be money. It should be how many people can you help?
Absolutely. And if you want to find out your price, if you want to make sure you don't buy the house, then the best way is to give them the number, is to give them your price in the first 2 minutes. If you want to make sure you don't buy the house, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, and if they said, to your point, if someone says, hey, Steve, what's your price? It's like, I think we're moving a little fast, to be honest. I'm not even sure I'm going to be buying your house.
Right.
I'm not even sure I'm going to make an offer. Right. And so what you want to do then is instead of giving a price up front, you need to diagnose what's going on. Right. So going back to the example about back pain, you can't go in there and just diagnose or prescribe back surgery. You can't prescribe buying their house. So first, we talk about the foreclosure. Well, what's going on with the foreclosure?
Right.
What caused you to get in foreclosure? They say, well, I'm missing payments or I'm getting my hours cut back. Well, how long has that been going on? What caused you to get your hours cut back? As a result of getting your hours cut back, what else is going on? Right? Are they maxing out their credit cards? Are they depleting their savings?
Yeah.
Are they getting the car repossessed?
Right.
There's a lot of things that are happening as a result of getting their hours cut back. What did they try to fix it? Have they been talking to their mom about getting some money? Maybe they're a rich aunt. Are they trying to refinance somewhere else? Are they selling their assets? Whatever. Are they trying to solve this problem on their own? And as they're trying to solve it, usually it hasn't worked because otherwise you wouldn't be there.
Correct.
So we're going to ask them, has that worked? What else have you tried? And we are actively re-traumatizing the person in front of us. And it might sound brutal, but at the end of the day, if they're not aware of the pain that they're suppressing, they're going to continue to experience this pain. So, what else have you tried? Did that work? What would happen if we can't fix it? Who else knows about this? What are they saying? And as we're doing this, we're going to uncover pain, real pain, not a little bit of pain, real pain. And then we're going to ask some more questions that they might have revealed, right? They're talking about why I maxed out my credit cards. Oh man, how long ago did that happen?
Right.
Has there been a time where you were trying to buy something and it didn't work?
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience, right? Like we're going through and having them relive all of it. And I think that if you don't try to extract the pain and you don't really, truly understand what's going on in their world, you're not really building effective rapport.
Yeah.
And I think that, a lot of people talk about rapport is I might ask you, hey, because we're both in Phoenix, hey, did you watch that Suns game? How do you think the Cardinals are doing?
Yeah.
That's not real rapport. That's so artificial, so superficial. And people are tired of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
But like, to my point if someone's in foreclosure, you're just like, they're in foreclosure, right? So for you new people, you get a foreclosure list, you start calling it but the question is why? What got them there? How did they get there? And how can you help them get out of the situation they put them in? Because sometimes it's not their fault. It could be medical bills. It could be, as you said, the back pain. They couldn't work. It's not necessarily they're a horrible person or they made a bunch of bad decisions. A lot of the times that could be the case, but still figure out, okay, the past is the past. You made some decisions that probably weren't great. How do we find a way to get you out of this situation to better your life? It's all about, I'm always going to loop this back to helping people. That's what it is really about, is caring, helping, finding solutions, and moving forward.
Right, absolutely. And on top of that, right, we're once we talk about pain and we're getting to figure out what their situation is, we're now going to talk about what the ideal outcome is.
Right.
Like what does solved look like to you? In a perfect world, how does this all work out? 30 days from today, after we've closed escrow, what are you doing? Tell me about the next chapter in your story.
Right.
How does your life look then?
Are you moving to go see some family? Are you going to find a new place to rent and get a stable job? Like, actually care about what they're doing and figure out, make a longer lasting relationship than, just that transaction. Not saying you're going to be best friends with them, but my dad started wholesaling a couple deals, and the few deals that he's got was from really building rapport. He went to Guitar Center, and just the guy's like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I flip houses. And he's like, oh, my father just passed. I don't want to fix up the house and want to sell it. But my dad went right back to talking about guitars and didn't say, oh, let me buy that from you. He's done sales his whole life. But his thing was like, hey, this dude is really cool. I'm going to get to know him. We'll see if it's a fit and what does this look like in the future. So my dad made sure the dude got a fair price. The guy was very smart to where he understood that my dad needed to make money. He wanted convenience. It was, a pretty seamless transaction. Okay, how long do you need to get all the stuff out of your dad's place? And then the black swan comes in. The black swan comes into where his sister needs to be involved now. So we're like, oh, so now my dad has to get his sister comfortable to make sure everything's good. And she cared more about money than more about convenience. So he had to overcome that hurdle and still got it done. But I think he ended up he netted like 65 grand on that flip. And that was his biggest flip of last year. And it was all from just building a true and honest relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you look at, he was able to figure out what the situation was, right, for that person at Guitar Center, what their situation was, what their pain was, and what their ideal outcome was for them. And then the sister got involved. Looks like we didn't maybe find out as much as what was important to her, or maybe money was the only thing that was important to her.
Yeah.
Right. But once we figured out what's really important to her, then at that time, we've diagnosed. Now we can figure out whether a cash offer makes sense.
Right.
Right. And at this point, we can actually talk about numbers. Not actually share a number, but we can begin to talk about numbers.
Yeah, my dad always went back to him like, what do you think is fair? Where do you need to be? And then his sister brought a realtor in, and my dad's like, are you listing this or are you going to, sell it for convenience? And it all worked itself out because I think he had ultimately power of attorney, but he didn't want his sister to feel not included in the decision. And it all worked itself out. But, when you think it's an easy layup, it never is. It really isn't.
Well, for me, that's been the most painful, right? When you know it's a deal, and you know the seller's willing to take what you're willing to pay,
right?
And you botch it because you didn't actually go through the process and develop rapport and connect,
right,
with other person, connect with a human being.
That's how my dad saved the deal. Was these guys became buddies. They went and jammed out, I think, before they even like signed a contract, where the rapport was built, and my dad genuinely liked him. He genuinely didn't care if he got the deal or not. He wanted to do the flip, but he was still going to be buddies with this guy with or without this transaction happening. And the dude could feel that.
Absolutely. So I'm looking here. We're seeing a little bit. Some people are saying they're having issues with the internet. Guys, can you look into that? See what's going on here. Well, at least the sound is consistent.
All right, sound's working. All right, well let's move to, it's still the first section, but learn to listen. Do you want to kind of talk? You want to touch on listening, learn to listen, or do we kind of touch that now?
No. So the first part was just extracting. So the other thing is, as far as listening is going to sound really simple, right? But actively listen. You know, I think one of the things that happens is a lot of us will listen for the objection, and we'll wait for the objection so we can give the magic answer to that objection. But in reality, listening means truly listening. And so what happens a lot is someone will say something to you, and you think you understand what they're saying, but in reality, you missed it. Here, the example I'll give you. Have you ever had your girlfriend tell you she has nothing to wear?
Yes.
And then you go and walk in the closet. It's like, well, what about this, this, and this? Yeah. And then she'll look at you like, no, that not the right season. It's not the right color, or it's not the right appropriate outfit for the event.
Right.
And what happens for me is I used to do that. And what I know is if someone says, you know, for example, my wife says she has nothing to wear. What does that mean exactly? When you say you don't have anything to wear, it's like, well, I don't have any outfit that's appropriate for this event, right, for this season, and so on. And so when you're dealing with a homeowner and they tell you, for example, how long you've been in business, we think, oh crap, they can tell I'm new. I can't tell them I've only been in the business for 3 months. Right. When in reality, they just want to know that you can perform. So when someone says like, how long have you been in the business, our natural response is, you know, I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm curious, you must be asking that question for a reason.
You always do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they say, well, I just want to make sure that you have the ability to buy my house. Okay, perfect. You know, that is a very reasonable request. What would you need to see so that you feel comfortable knowing that we can buy your house?
But the new wholesaler is going to start blurting things out there to try and show themselves being credible.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I've got all this money and I'm connected. I know all the investors in town, right? So reality, we got to figure out what it is. And they might tell you, well, you know, if you can show me a proof of funds, right? If you can show me a bank statement, if you can show me a list of houses that you bought, right? You can show me some testimonials. And it doesn't need to be your proof of funds. It doesn't need to be your testimonials. It doesn't need to be a list of houses that you bought.
Right.
You are connected. Leverage. We talked about squatting up. Leverage your relationship so that you can bring back the testimonials and so on, right? But the point is, when someone's asking how long I've been in business, it's very different than I just need to know that when you make an offer on my house, you can actually buy my house.
Right.
And so I think one of the things that you want to make sure is when someone's asking you a question, just pause and then find out what they're asking you. You know, can you tell me more about that? What are you hoping to find out?
Yeah.
Or Max's favorite 2 words, which means, probably get that a lot from Max.
Yeah. I do. Let's go on to the next topic we want to go over for helping people is how you aren't properly setting expectations. So a lot of you guys aren't properly setting expectations with sellers. You need to establish rules. This is one of your favorite things to talk about, I know, for sales. So let's dive into it.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is the expectations. If you think about every single time you've been upset in a situation, right? Whether at a restaurant, buying a product, a significant other, kids, whatever it is, whenever you're upset, it's always because the expectations were unmet. Right. You expected one thing, you got something completely different. And so when you walk into a homeowner's house and what they're hoping to get from you is, how about you walk around my house, take some pictures, give me a number, and if I like your number, I'll give you a call.
Right.
That's the homeowner's expectations. They're purely to gather information, gather price, and that's it. In their mind, they're not selling a house today.
Correct.
What's our expectation when we walk into a house?
To get a contract.
Let's get a contract, baby.
Yes.
Right? How far apart are the expectations set here?
I'm buying a house today is what I'm saying. The seller is saying, I'm interested to see what you have to say. And
Exactly.
I'll let you know if I'm interested in the future.
Right. If you're lucky, I'll let you know.
Right.
Right. And so what we need to do is we need to set the proper expectations.
Right.
And so for us, instead of allowing them to set the expectations, we set their expectations up front by just saying, hey, can I share with you, Jesse, how these appointments normally go?
What do you mean?
Because
let's role play this. Let's role play this.
Well, before we get into that, right? How many houses do they sell per month?
None.
How many houses are we trying to buy per month?
Lots.
Who's the expert?
Me.
Exactly. You. So yeah, hey Jesse, can I share with you how these appointments normally go?
Sure.
All right. So first of all, thank you for inviting me into your fancy studio. These meetings generally go about, an hour. Is that still a good amount of time for you?
I got an hour.
All right, perfect. And homeowners that we worked with in the past, what they wanted to know was how this process works, how much money they're going to get from it, and how soon they're going to get it. Am I missing anything?
No.
All right, perfect. And obviously, for me to figure out if this is a house that I'm going to buy, I'm going to have to ask you some questions. Some of these questions might be kind of personal. Would that be all right?
I mean, why are you asking me personal questions?
Well, we don't have all the money in the world. And so for us, we need to be very specific with the houses that we buy. And so I want to make sure that the house that I buy is making a maximum impact and I'm actually helping somebody.
That sounds fair.
All right, perfect. At the end, naturally, one of two things is going to happen. Either, we work together and buy your house, or we don't. And either way is totally fine. If the price we offer you, or if any time, you don't think this is going well, would you feel comfortable telling me no?
Absolutely. I'll be happy to tell you no. One of my favorite things to do to people, actually.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. And if this is a house I'm not going to buy, are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. And at the end, if it does make sense, what that means, we're going to take everything that you and I talked about today, and we're going to put it in writing. Is that fair?
That seems fair.
All right. And can I just share something with you?
Sure.
You seem really nice. And some of the homeowners we've talked to in the past, instead of telling us no, they told us they needed to think about it because they want to protect my feelings. I promise you can't hurt my feelings. Can you promise me that you won't tell me you need to think about it?
Got it.
All right. If I hear anything besides a yes or a no, I'm just going to take that as a no. Is that fair?
Sounds fair.
What have we done? We set the expectations that it's going to be yes or a no.
Right.
And if you say anything besides yes or no,
it's a no.
It's a no. So then the whole time when we get to the point, you're like, well, I'm not sure. It's like, just tell me no. I'll be fine. Just tell me no.
Or you're going to uncover more because they're not sure. So that's another thing is like, you could start diving into that. Why aren't you sure? What I thought we talked about all this. Mm-hmm. What am I missing? Because you could dive a little bit deeper.
We got full permission.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Because I know you've really spent a lot of time really dialing this process in, because establishing rules is now you guys aren't on two different pages on your expectation and my expectation. It's right. Okay, this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to look. And then it's nice because the way you like to set up your seller appointments is you're not wasting time anymore.
Absolutely.
You're getting a yes, you're getting a no, or you're moving on. Now, can they call you back or something change? Absolutely. It's not like you won't talk to them again, but you're really trying to do your best to really put them in that box, set that expectation of, I'm going to buy your house or I'm not today. Mm-hmm. Now, there's other circumstances that sometimes may arise, but you're going to have a much better chance of them calling you back or getting that house if you still define those rules.
Yeah, because what we're not getting now is, how about you walk around my house?
Right.
Take some photos and I'll call you back if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest frustration. And that was, man, I just think about how many millions of dollars I left on the table.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, the first 9 years of my career, I was a god-awful mess as a salesperson. It's like, you need to think about it. Well, that's fair, because I'm the kind of person that likes to think about it. Right? Like we sell the way we want to buy.
Yeah.
And the way I want to buy is to be left alone. Let me think about it. Yeah. So I was totally tolerant of it. And again, how many millions of dollars are left on the table?
Well, now we're going to help all these people make millions of dollars. You guys, if you get anything out of this webinar, this, I think, if you're actually going on live appointments, is one of the most important things to do. I taught my team it. You actually helped train my team when we were wholesaling. It is so, so crucial. You could even do stuff like this over the phone, not quite to that extent. We have a few minutes. Let's go over buying over the phone. What does that look like?
Yeah. So the biggest difference when you're buying over the phone is it's a little harder to do the push away, right? It's like, Jesse, it's over. Why don't you just tell me no, right? We still do it, but it's harder to have that same level of confidence,
right,
and assertiveness.
Yeah.
Right. So the only difference that changes for us buying over the phone versus buying in person is we cannot offer as much certainty because we're actually not setting our eyes on the house.
Right.
Right. So for us, we make it very clear that we have our inspection period starts 10 days after we get photos from them or we walk through the house.
Right.
Right. So because of that reason, like when we go to someone's house, we're given absolute certainty.
Yeah.
We're buying their house. We're closing on it.
Yeah.
Right. And with that certainty, we can get a deeper discount.
Right.
So that for us, that's the biggest difference is we cannot be as assertive, as firm. So we don't get as good a discount, but the process is still exactly the same.
And to all you people that are new here, it's awesome. We have almost 300 people live on here right now. You guys have to be okay with walking away from a deal. You can't cave to them. You put together a sales process, which we're going to get into next, but you have to follow your rules or else you're going to never get deep properties. You're never going to buy deep. And you don't always have to buy deep, but you're going to let someone walk all over you. Me and Steve just talked about this. You have to be the authoritative person. You are the expert. You establish the rules. Here are the rules. If you start breaking your own rules, they are going to see that. Think of, I don't have kids, Steve does, but I'm around, a bunch of friends have kids. And if you establish rules and let them start breaking those rules, they will do whatever it takes to go further and further and further to get more and more things their way. Like it's just, you're breaking something. You have to be okay with like, I built this rapport. I did all these things. What can you learn out of it? Like where did I go wrong? That's what you need to do. But you have to walk away and be like, this isn't a deal. If they call you back and you get it, but you have to draw that line in the sand. You have to be willing to walk away from a deal. Like I've had some of my acquisition guys, they'd be like, can we just come down another $5,000? I'm like, you already came down $5,000. Now you're coming down another $5,000. Like, what didn't you do? Like, this is where we need to be with this property. You have to walk away from it. Well, we could still make money. Okay, but that's not our process.
Right. And I think the part of it, the importance of establishing rules is it sets everything else up.
Yeah.
Right. The ability for us to say no. Right. If you're just like, well, Steve, what's your number? It's like, I'm not even sure I'm gonna buy your house. Like, what do you mean I'm not gonna buy? You're not gonna buy my house. Like, well, the number you're looking to get, that's not a number that we're comfortable paying. So we should probably leave. If we don't have the rules, it's gonna sound weird.
Yeah.
if we start pushing people away.
Yeah. So I agree, but I mean, this has been fire. So let's go to the last thing before we start taking some questions. So Steve was very, very adamant about this. Don't rely on charisma. Steve has no charisma.
Zero.
Steve is very like monotone. Look at me. I'm moving my hands. I'm doing things. I have a little bit more inflection, but there's a lot of people that are in sales that really rely on charisma. Now, charisma could help get you further if you have a process in place, but relying on it, Steve is like, I am so good at sales and I have no charisma. Let me teach you people that do have charisma to be even better than me at sales. So let's not rely on charisma. Let's follow a proven sales process. Let's dive into it.
I think charisma, magnetism, I think is great. And it gets you pretty far with that alone. You have natural talent, natural ability, things that are intangible.
Right.
So they get you pretty far. If you have none of that, you can still be very effective in sales because you have a sales process. But if you are charismatic and you are magnetic and then you follow a proven sales process, you will be unstoppable, right?
Facts.
Right? Because you know what works, how to navigate, how you can move forward and proceed with the sale. So as far as one of the challenges that I see is a lot of salespeople, you know why so many salespeople fail? At least my theory.
Go ahead.
It's because they think they're great salespeople. And so because if you're a salesperson, naturally, you're an optimistic person.
Correct.
You're naturally giving yourself a little more credit possibly than you deserve. And the best way to fail, you know this, in business, is to think you know everything. Is to be uncoachable. And so with sales, the thing that hurts a lot of salespeople is, again, like, I don't need any sales training, right? And so what we found is if someone is following a proven sales process with the charisma and the magnetism, they're going to have massive success. So what is that process? So we already talked about that first part, establishing the rules.
Right.
Right. That's the first part. consistently establishing the rules. And can you get away? Can you buy houses without establishing rules? Of course, we've all bought a lot of houses without establishing rules. We were good before we had a process.
This webinar, you guys, is to teach you how to get from good to great, or from great to that top level, or from just novice to good.
Right.
But this is the things that separate, the men from the boys.
Yeah. So establishing rules is step one, right? And then the other part we were talking about was active listening, finding out what's important to them, finding out what's going on in their world, understanding their world better than their friends and family. I've had appointments where I sat down and talked to somebody, and at the end, it's like, do you feel like I understand what's going on in your world? And their answer to me is, I feel like you understand me better than anybody else I know. Do you think I got that business? Right? So active listening, and then going through pain, which we touched on it earlier, fully understanding what is going on in their world as far as pain and what the perfect world looks like for them.
Yeah. And
then after that, then we'll talk about price.
Right.
Because now they're emotionally committed. Now there is buy-in, right? If you're just going straight on price, it's intellectual. It's like, well, why should I go with your price versus these 3 other people that are constantly calling me that want to buy my house, right?
Right.
But once you go through pain and connect with them, then you can talk about price. And when we talk about price, it's really important that we don't say the number first. Our policy in our office is you're not allowed to share the price with the homeowner.
We did have the same policy. I've been like that for a long time. I was like, absolutely not. Well, they won't give me one. Then you're not doing a good enough of a job.
If they won't give you the price, then that's not a seller, right? So we are not allowed to share a price until they've said, I want to sign a contract.
Yep.
They're holding a pen in their hand, or they're holding a mouse in their hand because you're doing it virtually. If those 3 things, one of those 3 things have not happened, you are not allowed to share your price. Because what happens if you share your price is you become a commodity, right? Let's see. You bought your BMW before you souped it all up. How many places did you shop to buy that BMW?
Like to build it?
Mm-hmm.
A handful.
A handful, right?
Yeah.
Did you possibly talk to one dealership and then it's like, well, this other, and then went to another dealership and went to another dealership? It's like, well, this guy's at this price. Can you beat that price? And you get them all to bid against each other?
Well, I always go private party because I don't like to pay taxes. But yes, I'm like, so it's not quite apples to apples, but I was able to be like, I knocked my dude down over $10,000, and he kept giving me features, and he's like, well, it has the rims, it has the intake, it has the exhaust, it has this carbon fiber diffuser. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's great, but how many people really care about that? Which I actually cared about, but I didn't let him know that.
You didn't let him know.
I'm like, that means nothing to me. But what I can do is, this is funny, is I was like, I could pay cash. Here's my price. Like, he already gave me his price. He's like, it was at 69. He's like, 65. And I literally said, I'll pay $59,000. That's what I'm comfortable paying. I have to fly to California, buy my BMW, drive it back. That's an inconvenience to me. So what I'll do is give you 59. And I said, that's it. And he's like, well, I can't do that. And I said, okay. And I hung up the phone. He called me back the next day and said, I don't have time for this. Let's just get it done.
Right. The price of convenience.
Yep.
And so you don't want to be that commodity though, right? Like the example I always use is when I bought my Honda Accord, I went to Showcase Honda, got a bid, went to another like Bell Honda, and went to another Honda dealership.
Yeah.
And they all gave me their bids. And I was like, well, this dealership's at this price. Can you beat that? Well, this dealership's at that price. And when you share your price without a commitment from the homeowner ready to sign, you become Showcase Honda. You become Bell Honda. You have become commoditized. You have now been used and abused, right? And they're just shopping you. You're just a number to them, and that's it.
That's what you don't want to do, guys. So we're kind of diving in deeper on the importance on why we don't give prices right away, is because they extracted what they wanted out of the meeting with you, and you're useless to them now. Mm-hmm. So if you don't build that proper rapport, you don't establish those proper rules, you don't do these things me and Steve are talking about right now, they're going to go to the next person. And if they did a better job than you did at that appointment, you just lost the deal.
Exactly. So we go through price, and then after price, we go through decision makers. And the key here when we talk about decision makers is we never use the word decision, right? So because what industry is used the word decision? Car sales, insurance sales, real estate sales, all sales, right? So we find out who the decision makers are. And the simple way of doing that is just the fastest way. Hey, Jesse, who else has input on the sale of your home?
So you like to say input.
Who else has input?
Input.
Right?
Input is the key word. Write this down, guys. Who has input on this decision?
Right.
Do they have a wife? Do they have title with a brother or sister? Who else has input? Actually, this must be something newer you've done because I don't remember this from a while ago.
Yeah. So who else has input? And the other one we like to use is if you're talking to, like, there's a husband and wife, and the guy says, have you had a seller say, oh, my wife is going to sign off on whatever I say. Right.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah. So now, like, we got irritated with that. I was like, well, how do we overcome this? So now we say, Jesse, I just want to make sure I understand this. You mean to tell me if you and I today agree on price, you don't even need to call your wife? And it's like, well, I need to call her. I was like, well, maybe we should get her on the phone now. All right. So we go to the decision maker. We go through time frame. And time frame, if you ask a question, how soon do you want to close? What's the answer?
As soon as possible, normally, which is never true.
Well, they say a lot of times we hear, I've got time. I'm in no rush. I don't need to sell. So we don't ask how soon you want to get this done. We ask, like, you're looking to get this done, like, what, like 3-6 months?
So you'll anchor them with, like, a long ways down the road type thing.
Like, no, it's getting much sooner than that. It's like, oh, like, why does it have to be so much sooner?
I like that.
How fast? And what happens is now they're selling us on why it needs to close fast. We're not telling them, like, hey, because of how awesome we are and we're cash, you need to sell lower. It was like, well, we need to close fast. Like, oh, you need to close fast? Okay, so then now I got to go get some money, and we got to make sure that, because of that, now we can't pay the price that we were prepared to offer because it's got to close faster. And now they're willing to take a lower price.
Right.
They're selling us why they're willing to take less for a faster close versus we're telling them how important it is to pay cash for a faster close.
That's good. I haven't thought about that. I like that anchor of throwing 3 to 6 months out there, because a lot of you guys too is I hate when salespeople do this. Is you ask them a question and then you start answering it for them. When do you want to close? So like 30 days, 60 days? Stop talking.
Yeah.
Let them talk, or do what Steve did. So do you plan on closing in 3 to 6 months? Is that what you want? You're asking a question, but at least you're presenting, that in there. My sales guys on my team, I love you guys back in the day when you're on the wholesale side. They would do that all the time, and it drive me crazy. I'm like, stop and let them talk.
Yeah,
like, don't start saying 30, 60. When do they want to close? But we didn't have what you're doing now, but I think that's brilliant to where you anchor them with a long way. No, I need to close sooner. Well, when?
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't. All right. Why is it so fast?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I didn't realize I'm going to have to close that fast.
Because then that shows that you're not desperate, or you're not trying to close on their house as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You flip the script. That's brilliant, dude. That really is brilliant.
And then we get to the very end, right? So now we got their price, the decision makers, time frame, and we said at the very beginning, right? It's gonna be yes or no.
Yeah.
And if by now they haven't kicked us out, what's the natural ending? Sign contract.
Right.
Right. So here's the way we say it. It's like, hey, Jesse, given the questions and answers we shared so far, do you feel like I understand what's going on in your world?
I do.
And do you believe that I can help you?
I do.
All right. Well, remember in the very beginning, we're talking about, if our price didn't work for you, you were going to tell me no.
Right.
But if it did work, then we're going to put everything in writing.
Yes.
We're still good there.
Yeah.
All right. So what would you like me to do now?
Well, we got to sign the contract, right?
Only if you're comfortable.
So do you like them saying contract, or what do you like to call an agreement, correct? An agreement?
I say we should put everything in writing.
Just in writing?
Yeah, put it in writing. And who doesn't want a house on their, put it in writing, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm going to buy your house on a handshake. No, I want it in writing.
Yeah.
So we always say, we'll put it in writing.
Put it in writing.
That's the way we approach it.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes when you say contract, people get spooked.
It's too much commitment.
It's too much commitment. It's too formal. Let's put this in writing. Let's get it over to the title company and open escrow. Yeah. Like, just as simple as that, you guys. That is another gem, Steve. I love doing this stuff with you. I've always loved doing this stuff with you. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm just a nerd, right? So we talk about, like, only if you're comfortable, right? And then we get here, it's like, hey, Jesse, before I go, what does this agreement mean to you? And he's like, it's just a contract. Like, to me, it means solving A, B, and C, right? If for any reason you feel uncomfortable with this, could you just do me a favor and just tear it up right now? And like, that Dave Chappelle gifts, like, 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 no, like, I need this contract. Don't tear it up.
Right.
But one thing we do in the Phoenix market is, Jesse, between now and when we close in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're gonna get people calling you, texting you, leaving you voicemails. You might even get a higher offer. What are you gonna do when that happens?
See, that I think that is one of the most important things, is you have to set that expectation too, because there is some bad people that will try and get people out of contracts, try and do some shady stuff. That's not how we do business. If you ever want to be successful in real estate for a long time, don't do that type of stuff, guys. Right. If someone else has a contract on the property, move on. Don't say I could give you higher price. Don't say any of this. Now you could say if something happens and they don't perform, reach out to me. Or when are you closing? I want to check in, make sure that they performed on their deal. Right. Now, if they don't perform in time, fair game now. Now you could try and help them do whatever you need to do to get it under contract for yourself. But respect someone else's contract. Remember, if you do that to somebody else, there's karma. That means it's going to be done to you too.
There's real karma. So we go back to this, right? So I say, what are you going to tell them, Jesse, when someone calls and say they're going to give you a higher offer?
See, I don't even know what I'd say. Like, right. Honestly, what does someone typically say? Because I'd be like, what should I say? Like, I don't know.
So you're going to hear, well, you're my guy, Steve. It's like, okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Or you might hear, well, I have to listen to them, right? That's a reasonable response.
Right.
Right. To which we're going to say, hey, well, Jesse, we have a problem here.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Well, I'm going to go back to my office. I'm going to have my team get all the paperwork, submitted. We're going to start a title commitment. We're going to start all the process so that we can buy your house in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Allocating funds.
I'm going to set money aside, make sure that we have that money available to you when we close. And you're telling me right now you're not fully committed to me. How can I go back and tell my team to do all that work? And like, oh, I had no idea it was that much work involved. It's like,
yeah.
And now we're getting additional commitment.
And you're establishing new rules again.
Exactly.
Brilliant. So you guys, that's really how you solve that problem. If you're not getting anything out of this, you guys got to be out of your mind. Because like I'm even learning new stuff because you guys, your whole world, this isn't just for wholesaling. Effectively communicating, establishing rules. This could be with your loved ones, your family, your girlfriend, your wife. This is the more effective you become at communicating with people and listening to people, everything in your life is going to be better. Like absolutely. I've learned, that's one of the things I've really learned from you is I have Pace and you and Jamil and Annie and Evo and Max and I'm missing people. Brent Daniels, obviously Brent Daniels. And I go to everyone for someone different. It's like I have my mini group of mentors, which is amazing to where, but I've always went to you for communication because you're always been level-headed. And this is what you really dive into and have learned a lot of is if I'm having problems. I remember I had problems with my dad and I came to you because I didn't know what to do. And I was like, am I being crazy? And he's like, this is how you guys just aren't communicating right.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I see this. We were on a family vacation and like my wife was having an argument, with her parents.
Yeah.
All right. And they're like, why can't they communicate better? It's like, is it really their responsibility to communicate better? Or maybe you could have just been a little more patient, find out what they were really trying to tell you.
Right.
Or make sure before they left that they really understood what your intentions were. So I find myself in this office mentoring more on relationships than anything else because of how important communication is, and that screws up so many other things.
Oh, dude, it's night and day. You've always been my sensei when it comes to level-headed stuff. And communication stuff and sales, you've always been, I mean, that's what you've dove into for a long time now. And it's so cool that you're able to help so many people get better at sales now.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. Is that the whole process or anything else we're missing?
That's it, right? Once you get to the very end and you make sure that they're not going to shop your offer, you're good.
Yeah. I think that end part is super important. You guys, I would definitely say, you have to have that conversation. Don't be scared of it. If someone else calls and gives you a higher offer, what happens? You have to establish those rules. So
is it happening? It's probably happening.
Yeah, it is happening. So
everyone else, a lot of people are using Batch. It's the best data, it's the best list, it's the best tools.
Yeah.
They're all talking to the same people.
Right. So establish those rules at the appointment. Once the contract's signed, you have to establish those new set of rules. Getting a contract or getting something in writing is just the first half. Now, the second half is making sure the seller doesn't go awry and the deal falls apart. You put in all this work and all this effort, establish those new rules, make your process seamless. That means you could do more deals. That means you're making everyone else more happy with effectively communicating the entire process.
Yeah, I think if you're getting signed contracts, that's huge, right? Right, because we close at least what we see across the country about 50%.
Yeah.
Right? If you get a signed contract, you're closing half of them. But if you can prevent them shopping you and going dark, and you can go from 50% to 75%.
Right.
How much is that going to help your bottom line?
Right.
So,
I mean, there's always title issues and stuff that's out of everyone's control. You can't get upset with them. They can't get upset with you. That is just stuff that happens. But if you're really good at what you do, You're not going to buy wrong. You're going to commit to, and the other thing, guys, too, is if you commit to buying a property, buy the property. If you don't have the money, then make sure that you have, those buyers that their numbers so well. Now, if something huge arises to where there's a foundation crack or, there's this thing that no one had any idea of. Obviously, stuff happens. You try and renegotiate, but do a good job, buy right, do what you say you're going to do. And if you can't buy, let them know too. Just be like, hey, I have this group of investors that are going to buy this property. I'm the one that is, the middleman. Like, it's okay to be honest with people. You guys don't be scared to do that.
Or if you can't do it, let them know like on day 14, not on day 30.
Correct. Like, this is what's going on. I was a little high with my price, so on and so forth. But we do have a few minutes. We have about 14 minutes. Let's get into a couple questions. I'm sure you guys have a few.
So first question is from Justin James. How do you deal with the attorney? So I know that one of the biggest challenges, we're really lucky in Phoenix that we don't have to deal with attorneys so much.
Yeah.
One thing that we see a lot from other people in the attorney states is they try to kill deals, right? And so the best offense, right, is a good defense, or best defense is a good offense. We don't allow them, or not we don't allow them, we try to sway them from using their attorney, right? So we're talking, feels like this is going pretty good. At the end, hey, Jesse, I got to bet you got an attorney that you absolutely love. And you say, well, I don't have an attorney that I love. So, oh, okay. Well, we actually have homeowners that we work with that really enjoy working this one attorney because he does so many deals and he's able to get it done in 30 days. I don't know if that would be important to you.
Right.
Like, well, there's a guy that's responsive and can get this done in 30 days. Yeah, who's that guy? Versus is being completely leaving that topic alone, them going to his other attorney, and it takes 3 or 4 months to close, and he's killing your deal.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how we deal.
And then Michelle gave us a bunch of questions too because she's been watching this. So let's go. What does Corey have to say, Steve?
So Corey, if they say that, let me think about it, what's their response to that? So we established the rules, and they tell us they still need to think about it. I'm going to say, oh, Jesse, I apologize. I must have done something wrong because in the beginning we said that you weren't going to think about it. Did I screw something up? And then
they're going to start backpedaling and be like, a no is okay. And then you're just re-engaging that loop, that sales loop, you guys. So it's okay. It's just going to prolong that conversation, but you're still going to get a yes or a no out of them. And if you really can't, you're going to be like, for now, this is a no. If it's a yes, call me.
All right. Well, the other thing too, I would say, hey, Jesse, like you need to think about it. And, like we say, well, I really do need to think about it. Okay, I got it. You need to think about it. Is it the process you need to think about? And it's like, no, it's not the process. Oh, okay. It's got to be the price. And you got to think about the price. Like, no, I'm good with the price. Like, this is their posturing. I'm okay with the price. Like, oh, I get it.
You just don't like me.
You're uncomfortable with me. I get it. And they're like, no, it's not. And then they'll tell you whatever it is.
All right. Michelle had a couple. What does she have here?
Hang on. Let me just drag this over here. So, what's something you strongly believe about this industry that 99% of others would disagree with? Why do I strongly believe about this industry? Well, I would say 90%. I say people outside our industry look down upon us, right? And I think we are absolutely crucial. I'll give this another example is payday loans, right?
Yeah.
Like they made it impossible to do payday loans in Phoenix. They passed that law a few years ago.
Right.
What happened after that? Title loans started popping everywhere. So what happened? People started losing their cars.
Yeah.
Right. So every time something happens where there's a service and that service is removed, it hurts the person, right? And so right now they're talking about how our industry, we're taking advantage of people. But what happens if you remove us? They get foreclosed on, right? We are their last resort. We are their last option, their last hope. And if you remove this industry, what happens? They're losing the house for sure. They're not solving their problems. They're stuck in their situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I strongly believe that we were providing an absolutely essential service.
All right. And then a next one that Michelle put from Tim. What are the best lists to search in Batch? So this is more about sales, guys. Michelle, this is going to be great tools for you to make videos for our YouTube channel. So for you guys that haven't subscribed, go to BatchTV on YouTube. Michelle makes videos weekly. I do videos every week or two. RJ Bates goes live every week showing how he gets deals on Batch leads. But best list, I believe we have a video, Michelle, or make a video because you know the best list in Batch. And what makes Batch better than PropStream? Michelle, that's another great video. because we have a lot more holistic features. So PropStream is great. They have great lists. They have great comping. We have all those things. But what it is Batch is we're really trying to make a holistic, marketing machine to where you have all these things in one place. You have the best skip tracing there. You have the list. You have the comping tool. You could send text messages. You could send your list straight into Batch Dialer to cold call. You have the list stacking. You have the data management. Batch is meant to be a tool that helps you do everything together in one place and keep it organized. PropStream is great at what they do as well, but that's what we're trying to accomplish with Batch Leads. I hope that answers that question.
So Lionel's question was, how do we renegotiate? So I want to start off with, we do not believe renegotiating. I don't think that's something we need to do, right? I believe that if you know the number beforehand, part of the negotiations is the confidence that you can perform, right?
Right.
So for us, we never renegotiate if we have a property under contract. However, if we have a property that we put an option contract on, right? Which is basically, hey, I can't pay that price, but you know what? I'm connected to a whole bunch of investors. If you really need to get this price that we can't pay, how about this? We're going to have you sign this permission slip that allows us to market it to the investors that we work with.
Right.
And then we'll let you know whether we can get you this number or not. And they say, okay, so we get that option contract signed. But when we come back, it's, hey, Lionel, that number that you wanted, it's not going to work, so we're going to have to cancel. And that's how we approach it, to which their response is going to be, well, don't cancel. Like, what number does this need to work at?
Yeah.
So that's how we approach it. But our intent always is to not price drop. Our intent is to perform.
And then Lionel also asks, when are you starting a lower level course for negotiations? Steve.
Well, we do have that lower level course. And that's what so we have, if you go to disruptors.com/max, MAX, right? Disruptors.com/max. That's our lower level course, because what actually comes after that is weekly mentoring, right? And we have 60 clients in Collective Genius alone, right? They're paying over, $12,000 a year for mentoring. So our lower level course is actually that course, disruptors.com/max.
So how can I get coached by either of you? I'm in Florida. I don't do coaching. As I said, we build products for you guys to have success. I guess I try and help. We have our YouTube channel to where I dive into everything real estate. If you guys have topics you want me or Michelle to go over, drop them in the comments here, and we're more than excited to make some new videos to help you guys. But for Steve, you want to say how they could go to you for coaching?
Yeah, so the fastest way, or the easiest way, is just go to disruptors.com/apply. And from there, you can apply for a mentorship. But I will caution everyone that's watching is we don't take anyone that's never done a deal before. So for us, you have to have at least closed one deal. And the reason why, and this might sound awful, right? I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't feel I'm qualified to help someone mentally go from 0 to 1. I think, a lot of the content we put out there for free, including this, can help someone go from 0 to 1. I don't think I'm qualified to coach someone from 0 to 1 because there's other things going on inside their head.
Right.
But I can take someone from 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 100. But just know when you apply that if you've never done a deal, we can't work with you.
Right. And then, okay, we have a bunch of questions here. What's the first thing you say when you call someone? You say hello. Haha, just kidding.
I say their name. Hey, Jesse.
I say their first name too. It's always, hey, Jesse. You want it to be, hey, Steve, informal. And they're like, who's this? Don't say, is this Mrs. this or is this? Act like you're calling a buddy. However you would say that, I would call you and be like, hey, Steve, what's up?
Yeah.
They'd be like, who's this? Because they don't have your number. But I would, exactly how you do it, don't copy someone else. Use your tonality, your personality. But if you're calling one of your buddies or your girlfriends, that's how you should have it when you first call someone.
100%.
All right. Can you elaborate on not sharing your price? I mean, I've had some really tough sellers
won't disclose their price.
That won't disclose their price. Gotcha.
So for us, if they won't share their price, then it's just not a seller for us, right? Like, we don't buy every house. And that's something we say very clearly when we're establishing rules. That's the reason why establishing rules is so important. So, but I'm talking to somebody and they're like, well, I'm not going to share my price. Like, okay, well, Jesse, I appreciate that. You don't want to share your price. I had a chance before I came over today to actually see what other cash buyers are paying nearby. And I saw some were paying between 70 and 90,000, assuming your number is 100, right? I saw some investors paying between 70 and 90,000. I'm not saying that's my offer, but if an investor came along and offered you between 70 and 90,000, what do you see yourself doing then?
Right.
And we now have shared a number. That's not our number.
You gave a range and you're giving a third party story you're having no commitment to anything. You're saying what others have done.
And so what's the mind game? So, you know, when we were kids and we were dating, right? It was like, you hang up first. No, you hang up first, right? And so in sales, it's like, you share your price first. No, you share your price first. And so for us, we will share a price. And once they've heard a price, now they feel comfortable sharing their price. So we always anchor low. You know, there's these guys in town, these batch guys, they're going to super lowball you. I'm not going to do that to you.
All right. We have another one. Could you list the rules to establish up front again? You guys, we have this recorded and we're going to send it out. So you could just watch it again. We're going to send it out probably Friday? It's Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll send it out early next week. And we're actually going to put it on BatchTV YouTube channel. So you'll be able to watch it there, but we will send it out to everyone that signed up for this webinar as well. I'm sorry. So we have, okay, yeah, we'll just be recorded. Okay, do you have to get a new title company for each deal if you're working across a large area?
I think if you're changing metros, you have to. I think if you're changing, you know, major markets, you have to use a different title company. I mean, there's some national title companies, but there's no national title companies I respect.
Correct. No, they're very hard to deal with. So it's just, if you're going into a new market, I would really go to Facebook or go to mentors of yours or big players in those markets and see what title companies are using. You just need to build relationships and find investor friendly title companies in whatever county that is in is my best advice.
Absolutely.
There's no fast hack. There's no quick way to do that.
No.
We've tried national title companies. They sucked. Just find really good investor title companies wherever you're buying.
It's just like, you know, not every McDonald's is supposed to be the same, right?
Yeah.
But they're not, right? So like every title company in all these different locations should be the same.
Right.
But they're not.
But they're operated by different people. Like a lot of them are
different human beings, different irrational creatures.
Right. All right. You want to pick, I think we have time for one more, you guys. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. I'll let Steve pick the last one.
So the Zillow one, right? What's your favorite way to push away a deal when they're looking for a higher price to bring up Zillow? So when someone says like, I want Zillow, like, I think that's great. You've done your research, Jesse. You're really smart. You're really informed. You took the time to research and figure out what your house is worth. I applaud you. Most people don't do that. So you're telling me you're looking for a price around the Zillow range? So yeah. So okay, well, I'm not your buyer.
Yeah, go list it.
Yeah, like if you got the time, the money, the resources, I think that's great. You should definitely go with Zillow. And they're like, well, I don't have time.
So if you guys are seeing the trend, Steve is always telling them he's not interested. He's always saying no. He's always saying go with someone else. That's how you sell. You don't cater to their needs. And if you're not the right solution, find that out as quickly as possible so you can talk to the next person that you are the right solution for.
Yeah. So I remember growing up, right, watching my mom negotiate in Chinatown. You know, she would negotiate at Best Buy. Like, Mom, you can't negotiate at Best Buy, and she would succeed, right? So what I learned from her was that you had the ability to walk away. And we've all learned this, right? You got to learn to walk away. We've learned this in every negotiation book. What I didn't learn until the last few years is the way to walk away is to empower the other person to say no.
Right.
And when they are willing to say no, you empower them to say no. Now you're not really walking away. You're asking them to ask you to leave. And it's so powerful when you ask them to ask you to leave.
And then before we go, guys, in the comments, drop a 1 if you feel like we brought value today. I really like to see if people liked our webinar and it affected them. I really hope that you guys were able to grab some gems out of this. But before we go, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you on social?
The best way to get a hold of me on social is at steve.trang, steve.trang. And then if someone wanted to, you know, again, the video course, right, our discounted one, it's disruptors.com/max, MAX.
And then if you guys want to get a hold of me or have any questions on Instagram, it's Jesse Burrell, my first and last name. We have the YouTube channel. Steve obviously has his YouTube channel, Real Estate Disruptors. I didn't get the shirt today. I've had it for like 3 years, but I wanted to represent since we were going out of his building today, and he was kind enough to let us use his studio. So you guys, again, thank you so much for attending. I really love bringing someone on every month. And remember, I have a new webinar every single month where I'm bringing someone like Steve. Last month, I had Alex Sines. The month before, RJ Bates. let me know, you guys, who do you want to come on next month? I was thinking I'll tease maybe Carlos Reyes, Pace Morby, Jamil. Who would you guys want, and what would you want us to talk about? I think that's it. Our time is up. Any last thoughts, Steve?
I think this the relationships that we talked about in the very beginning, right? And then working with Batch, like we use you guys, right? Like it's not like, hey, I'm gonna use your product because we're friends. Like we actively use your business, use your program. So guys, leverage Batch whenever you get a chance. Well, watch this video as many times as you can because there's a lot of free content here.
Yeah.
And then whenever you guys are closing deals consistently and you want to up your game, convert just a few more sales a month, a quarter, then, obviously check out disruptors.com/max.
Yeah. I personally use Steve for coaching for our wholesale team. They loved him. They got lots of value. I'm not saying to go use Steve. If you're not in that place to where you could afford that investment, then close some more deals. But in due time, he is a great coach. I've personally used him. And we're not saying that because we're friends. We're saying that because we've actually had impact from each other's businesses to have success. But this isn't a webinar to sell. We're just telling the truth. And thank you guys so much for attending. Until next month, let's get it.